Oh, my name's Kevin. You watch Club Neck Prepper. Liquid love. I love it. It's my coffee. Alright, guys. So, what I want to talk to you about this morning, today, we've got a winter weather storm coming in. It might not seem like much for somebody who's in, say, Minnesota or in Canada that gets a lot of snow. But here in the South, we don't get much snow. So, you say we don't know how to drive in it, it's because we don't get much snow. That's just a fact. They're expecting up to 6 inches in my area, which is Nashville, which is pretty cool actually because we don't see much snow again. But following all that snow is going to be some really cold weather that we don't typically get very much of either because we are in the South. So we're talking the negatives, -4, -5, and that's the actual temperature, not wind chills. So what have I done, or am I doing, to prepare for this? Well, I learned my lesson from last year when we had that Arctic blast that came through and the power went out. I have generators, but they were so cold they wouldn't start. It took me about 5 hours to get one of my generators warm enough to start, and the power came on, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours after that. So we weren't without power maybe 10 hours. I wasn't too awful concerned. I already had my solar generator out, and that's what I was using, just my solar generator. Like my solar generator, can't help it. It works great. So it's EcoFlow Delta 1800, and it runs my refrigerator. That's all I really care about keeping on. I didn't worry about the television and all the other stuff. That was going to waste a lot more power. So I ran that, and then I pulled that off, and when I got my gasoline generator running, and I used it. I've also pre-staged my kerosene heater. I keep it in the house when it's January, and I usually keep it in here till around the 1st of March. When it gets really cold, like in the teens, I'll run it, help the heat pump out so it doesn't start. It doesn't start, listen to me. So it doesn't run excessively and use a lot of electricity, and it just give it a break, make it a little bit easier on the unit. I've also set up my batteries where I've got everything charged. I'm actually charging up batteries right now, things that I use regularly, and making sure that other things are good to go at this particular moment. So if I need it, I don't have to worry about it. The last time we had a power outage, my daily use flashlight I had forgotten to charge. Guess what? It didn't work. Fortunately, I'm a prepper, and I've got about 40 flashlights because I just have an affinity for flashlights. I can't help it. If y'all want to see my flashlight collection, let me know, and I'll be happy to show them to you because I have a bunch of them. By the way, thanks JJ for sending me that Sofran. That's a really cool flashlight. Oh, what else am I doing? Of course, I've got plenty of water. Water is one of the hardest things I believe to store because water is very heavy and takes up a lot of space. So I've got roughly 200 gallons saved up as a just-in-caser. Of course, I've got a 60-gallon water heater. Either 60 or 50 gallon. We'll say 50, and if it's 60, whatever. I've got that, and then worst case scenario, we'll be drinking water out of the toilet like a dog. Of course, it's going to go through my Berkey, which is right here behind me. And make sure that you've got good water. And have also made sure that I'm keeping one propane tank in the house for to keep that fuel warm. You don't want it to be super cold because it's not going to flow very well. This way I can throw it on my grill if I need to use my grill if power goes out. And heaven forbid it does, because I don't want it to, but if it did, at least I can cook something. Of course, I've got my Coleman stoves and other types of stoves I can cook anything on. I please, but in this particular case, that's what I have. And got winter clothing, of course, long sleeve shirts, and you want to layer yourself. You don't want to just put on one coat and a shirt. You'll put on, like I would put on, a thinner long sleeve shirt um, with a t-shirt, and then put a medium weight to a lightweight, medium weight jacket. That'll keep you a lot warmer. If you look at the old field jackets, you can see how there are so many different layers. And then of course you put the insulation layer in it as well, which is really makes that thing, you get hot fast. So anybody that's ever worn one of those for an extended period, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So those are some things that I'm doing to prepare. Something else I've done is I made sure that all of my vehicles are full of fuel. Truck and the cars, we're not going to go without at least a half tank of fuel. In case you get stuck, straightened out. I don't know why you would want to be out in the middle of this if you don't have to be, but some people are idiots and they go out and do it anyways. So you've got some fuel in your vehicle, and it helps keep water that may be in the line from freezing up and causing problems for your engine. Let's see, what else have I done? I'm sure I'm forgetting some things that I've done, I just don't remember, or that I'm currently doing. I can't think of anything else, folks, but you see what I'm doing. I'm wanting to make absolutely sure that during this time everything is as easy for myself and my wife and my dog, which is right here beside me, as it possibly can be. We've had 2 windstorms here in the last week. Wind gusts up to 80 miles an hour and sustained winds at 30 miles an hour. So trust me, driving an 18-wheeler like I do now that's interesting. Driving down the road and you come into an open field and all of a sudden a gust of wind hits that truck. I remember when I was doing it in the early 2000s before I became an electrical engineer. It was a lot of fun then too. I didn't like that, but yeah. And something, this is prepper related, but not necessarily for preparing for a winter storm. Well, yeah, I guess it could be. Trees. Make sure you keep up your maintenance on your trees. If a tree's getting really, really big, you want to cut that sucker back or cut it completely down, because especially like what we've had in the last few weeks or last few days, a lot of rain, that moisture's not going to dry out. It's all over that tree, and when it gets cold, it's going to make that tree, because it's sucking up that moisture, it's going to make it even heavier. And that tree's going to want to fall. The branch is going to fall off. You get that wind along with the tree freezing, it can be very dangerous. You don't want a tree falling on your house, and you don't want a tree falling on your vehicle. You most certainly don't want it falling across electrical line. And in our case, if it fell across electrical line, one of these trees through here, and were to fall in my neighborhood or on my street here close to me, that line would prevent me from getting out of the house. I have no other way to get out other than straightforward. I would have to literally drive through people's yards, and I don't think they would be too appreciative of it. My 2 neighbors here beside me probably wouldn't care, but further out they might not like that. So keep up with your pruning. That's just part of it. It's expensive, but it's expensive for a reason, because it's a very dangerous job. Anybody that's been out there climbing utility poles like I have, and did it for many years, knows if you got to hook a tree, I can't even imagine that. At least a pole I can pretty much judge. A tree, they start getting rotten, yeah, that's some serious pucker butt. Anyhow, I hope you guys got something out of this. Remember, keep prepping. Have a good one, guys.